What's up, everybody? We're back in the garage. Gonna try and talk to you guys today about some different things that you might need before you go out for your first ride of the season. Some things are for you, some things are for your motorcycle. Um, some are opinion. You're allowed to do whatever you want. I'm just some guy in his garage doing what makes him happy. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. But if you do like it, please click the subscribe button, the like, the share, all my happy stuff that hopefully will turn me into some YouTube dude, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll start going over the first couple things and we'll go from there. Perfect. All right. So the first couple of things are going to be for me, the rider. Things up here are different. I live in New England. If you live in the South, you might not need things that I need. But it gets cold up here, really cold up here. I used to bust out my motorcycle when it hit 30 degrees. I'm a little older now, a little softer. I wait till it's today, and it's 50 degrees, which is still a heat wave this time of year. So, all right, here's some of the first couple things. One of the first things I think you need, a good jacket. I'm not going to say it has to be leather. It surely doesn't need to be Harley. But you do need to have a good jacket. Because if God forbid you do go down, it's going to save your butt. I know I have dropped one bike, landed on my shoulder, actually in this jacket. I was only going 25 miles an hour, so not a big deal. But I hit some sand, high-sided my bike. That sucked. This, however, stopped me from getting road rash. Doesn't sound like much till you have it. Then it sucks. The other thing that's also in there, I have a good quality pair of leather chaps. Those are most definitely optional. I barely use them. But if you get caught and it is super cold, it gives you a layer. It makes it so that it stops some of the wind. Like I said, not something that you absolutely have to have. But then again, if you did hit the ground, that's also something that's going to protect you. The next thing, swinging around over here, I have a good set of rain gear. Not so much for this time of year, but just in general. If you go to Laconia Bike Week, every year it's going to rain. Why? Because that's what happens at Laconia. So, that being said, this is a very nice set. I bought it, probably 8 years ago. It's grown with me. It's worn exceptionally well. I do not go out riding in the rain if I know it's raining outside. That is not what I use this for. This is if I am out having a ride and I get caught in the rain, I know that I'm protected. If I go on long rides, I can bring this with me. I know if it starts to rain, I am protected. If I'm going on a long ride, I'm going to go regardless. I have left my house in the rain with this gear on, going across Vermont into New York. Stayed dry. It works amazing. Also, on my gear in particular, I don't know, I don't think all gears do this, but I have this wonderful rubber pad that helps you stay to your seat. Another feature of that particular gear, you're not going to get that if you buy a $20 set of gear. More than likely. Just probably not going to happen. Also has lots of pockets to help keep things dry. These little straps go around the bottom of my boots, help keep my pant leg down, help keep my feet dry. I have drawstrings on the bottom of my jacket, pull that tight. So once I put this on, I'm pretty dry. Other than my face, because I wear a half shell helmet and that gets a little wet, but I've also got stuff for that coming up. All right. Number 2 thing every rider needs, safety glasses. I do not have transitioning glasses, so I have both a pair of night glasses and day glasses. If you buy the more expensive transitional glasses, you can get away with one pair. You wear a full face helmet with a face shield, you might not need them at all. I wear a half shell helmet, so that's why I have 2 pairs. I used to have 3, but I lost one. But have at least a good pair of glasses. Keep the sun out of your eyes, help make it a safer ride in general. The next thing is definitely you gotta have gloves. I have more gloves in my house, but I wear gloves. If you ever had a rock bounce off your hand, you'll wish you had gloves. They don't have to be any particular brand. Yet again, my stuff, you'll notice, is mostly all Harley stuff because I ride a Harley. When I rode a Suzuki, I had a lot of unnamed stuff. A leather jacket that used to have nothing on it. It was just a good leather jacket, and it would have saved my butt if I went down. A good pair of gloves. I just happen to like a lot of the Willie G skull features, so that's why a lot of my stuff is Harley. But any good, high quality pair of gloves is going to do the trick. You watch other people's channels, they recommend or swear by a certain brand of glove. If that's what you want to go with it. Go with whatever fits you. It's about you and your bike. What's important, what's going to keep you safe. That's all that matters. The next thing is I have different various forms of face covering. This goes back to getting caught in the rain. Some are better than others, but I can tie it around my face, give myself something to protect myself. Anybody that's ever worn a half shell in the rain knows that rain feels like 1,000 little needle drops hitting you in the face at once. After a while, luckily up here in New England, your face goes numb because it's cold most of the time. But that being said, I have them in my bag ready to go if I need them. The last thing that I will recommend to people to have is a helmet. Like I said, I wear a half shell. Mine is nothing special. It's a half shell helmet with good pad. It's DOT. If you don't have that sticker, it's really not going to protect you that much. Not the one above the DOT sticker, but the actual DOT sticker. Gives you good padding inside. Now, that being said, I don't wear it all the time. I sometimes go around town and don't have it on. That's my risk. That's my problem. But as a person trying to give you some information about things that you might need, I would highly recommend a helmet of some sort, whether it be full face, half shell, 3/4, whatever you're comfortable in. That's what's important. Next, we're going to move on to things for the bike, which are right beside it. First thing I keep with me is a flashlight. This one is an LED. I bought it. It's a pretty good flashlight. You can pick flashlights up on the Jeep. It doesn't have to be the best thing that has ever been made. But if you get stuck on the side of the road because, a battery terminal loosens, which I've had happen, a flashlight comes in super handy, and you cannot always depend on your phone simply because your phone battery can die. You're going to play with it during the course of the day. You're going to use it during the course of the day. It might just die. It might die in your pocket and you don't know it. At least this way, you know you have a light. The second thing, I always keep a cheap toolkit in my bike. Now, yes, part of it is missing right now because I was using it for something else. But I always keep a cheap toolkit in my bike because same thing. If you need something on the side of the road, you're not going to have it unless you bring it. So it's your responsibility as a rider to make sure that you can protect yourself and take care of yourself. Part of taking care of yourself is taking care of your motorcycle. If a battery terminal comes loose on this bike, it's super easy to fix. You take the seat off, and then the next thing you do is you just tighten them down. But you can't access it until you can get the seat off. And then you can't tighten them unless you have something to tighten them with. So I do have screwdrivers, but just a very basic toolkit. Doesn't have to be anything, super fancy. Next, sorry about all the shaking. I don't have a GoPro or any of that fancy stuff yet. I have a cheap Leatherman Now, you can use a good Leatherman, you can use a cheap Leatherman. I happen to buy this one on the cheap because I knew it would be always in the saddlebag of my motorcycle. I'm not going to buy a $200 Leatherman and stuff it in the saddlebag of my motorcycle. Just something I'm not going to do. But, like I said, that being said, you can go buy a $200 Leatherman if that's what you're looking for. Use whatever you feel comfortable with. Next, we're going to go to the bike, and I'm going to give you some helpful ideas of things to think about before you go on that first ride. So, here's Blue. Blue is my 2010 Fat Boy. I love this motorcycle. It's probably the nicest motorcycle I have ever owned. That being said, if I want to keep it nice, I got to do certain things to it. First things first, before you go on any road trip, even if it's a small one in your town, the first thing you should do at the start of every season is check your tire pressure. I live in New England, like I've said 3-4 times in this video. Hot and cold will make your tires lose pressure. The temperature will fluctuate and you could lose a couple PSI. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but if it happens, 2 or 3 times over the course of a winter, you have some of those nice crazy warm days and then some cold days and then some warm days, you can lose PSI pretty quick and be rolling around on 15, 20 pounds when your tire is supposed to have 35, let's say, and then you're going to affect the wear of your tire, you're going to affect the performance of your tire, the way your bike handles, all of it. So that being said, make sure you check the PSI on your tires. Next, you want to make sure that you have brake fluid. All it is, a couple of screws, give it a couple pumps, make sure that the brakes work. I'm not a mechanic, don't quote me on any of this stuff, but make sure your brakes are good to go, because it doesn't matter if you can go down the road fast, it doesn't matter if your tires are good. If you can't stop, it's not going to be a good day. It'll probably be the worst day of your life. So, brakes. Brakes are number 2. Next thing you got to do, check all your lights and turn signals. I know it sounds foolish, but I was on the way to New York for a trip with my brother-in-law. We made it about 20 minutes from here, my house, and we had to stop at a Harley shop to buy a bulb because one of my directionals was out, because I didn't check it. Now luckily I didn't get pulled over. My brother-in-law was behind me. He informed me I had one out. We stopped, we took care of it. But if you don't check on these things, you're only making things harder on yourself, because if I would have checked it, I could have gone to a cheaper parts store than a Harley store and gotten a bulb. I had to go to Harley because it's what I knew was right there, and we were about to get on the road and get going. I'm not going to make my brother-in-law wait. So, that being said, always check your directionals. Always check your headlight. Make sure high beam, low beam works. If you have auxiliary lights, make sure your auxiliary lights work. You want to do everything in your power to be seen. So, if you have auxiliary lights on your bike and they don't work, what's the point? Right? I mean, kind of simple, kind of basic, but the next thing I do is I turn my motorcycle on for a little while, let the oil warm up, then I check my oil. I check to see where my levels are at. Like I said, I'm no mechanic. Somebody might tell you to do it cold, somebody might tell you to do it hot. Do whatever you got to do. Make sure there's oil in this bike. Because if there's not oil in this bike, you end up stranded on the side of the road. This has happened to me. I've had to send my brother-in-law to go get a quart of oil in my old bike. I had a Sportster, and I was on the side of the road, and I had not enough oil in my bike. It started making a horrible ticking noise. We pulled over, we checked it, and sure enough, I wasn't out, but I was super low. We stopped, bought oil, put it in it. Roadside oil changes suck. You don't want to do that. It's horrible. So, like I said, not a mechanic by any means, but check that stuff. So, brakes, tires, directionals. You want to make sure that no bolts are loose visibly on your bike. You want to make sure that, you know, your mirrors aren't going to come off as you're flying down the road. It's little basic stuff, but it's little basic stuff that's going to keep you safe. So, hope you guys like this video. I hope you find it helpful. I hope I can get my air compressor out of your way so you can see me. There we go. Your motorcycle, when you're on it, it's just you and the bike. You need to make sure you're both covered. You're both protected. Speaking of coverage, get insurance if you don't got it, because it can help you. But yeah, definitely make sure you're covered. Make sure your bike's covered. Not necessarily anything crazy. I didn't have the best gear when I started riding, but I had something. I had a, $120 full face helmet. But you know what? If I hit the deck, that $120 full face helmet was going to protect my brain. Sometimes there's not a lot in there, but I got to protect what I got. And you need to do the same. So, that being said, everybody, welcome to spring. Ride safe. Have a great time. We'll shoot some more videos. We're going to try and find a mount for the motorcycle so I can get you some footage of driving around New England. It's beautiful up here. Completely different part of the world than some of you have ever seen. So stay tuned and enjoy. Hit the like, subscribe, share, all that happy jazz. Leave a comment if you want. I'll try and get back to you. Give you a thumbs up. We'll go from there. Have a great day. See you next time.